I welcome you today on the very first day of a practitioner guide to business analysis course. This is based on PMBOK guide as well as the business analysis for practitioner and the guide for business analysis by PMI. Today we are going to go ahead with the introduction part. Rather, I would say not even the introduction, but some discussion about the PMI PBA certification and the business analysis profession in general. So I'll introduce you to all the needs and requirements of this certification. As far as I am concerned, as you understand, you know already, my name is Suhail Iqbal, and I have been training professionals for more than 20 years just in the field of project business analysis and the related areas, organizational development, soft skills, and all that. So I'm really excited to be teaching you this business analysis thing, and I was not even planning to conduct this training at this stage, but as it was your need and we had to go about it, so this is the way we found, and we are doing it online. Okay, as you understand, PMI has this certification, PMI-PBA. It is called Professional in Business Analysis. So far, PMI has come up with 3 standard documents. PMI standards are divided into several parts. Some of them are core standards and others are like practice guides or extensions or something like that. So I'll talk about all of them. But basically, before coming up with the PMI guide to business analysis, which has very recently been released, PMI did come up with 2 practice guides earlier. One was, as you can show in the middle of the screen, that is a business analysis for practitioners. This was the basic reference which came out as a practice guide, and practice guide is a level lower than a standard. And then they had yet another practice guide which related to business analysis as well as project management, and that was requirements management, a practice guide to that. So after both of these practice guides have been very successful in PMI community, in the project managers and business analysts, very recently they have promoted it to the level of a guide. Like PMBOK is a guide, a project management body of knowledge. So business analysis guide is now called the PMI guide to business analysis. So basically you should be referring to business analysis guide, but at the same time we will focus more on a practice guide for business analysis for practitioners as well as some references to the requirement management guide. We will be referring to all of these 3 kind of books. So we are more focused on the practice business analysis for practitioner as well as a relation to project management body of knowledge. These 2 are our core references. If you want to know a bit more about the references and the standards, PMI has a number of core standards. Naturally, program management, and portfolio management are 3 areas which are called organizational project management, and they are the 3 core standards. Business analysis has come up as a new contender for the core standards. Otherwise, we had a 4th one which was called organizational project management, which is not shown here, but it is also a standard, organizational project management. So we have got 4 core standards: PMBOK, program management, portfolio management, and organizational project management. And the 5th one, the coming up one, is business analysis. Though business analysis is not wholly a part of project, program, or portfolio management, but this does interact with all aspects of project, program, and portfolio portfolio management. So business analysis is very necessary to be understood by all the project, program, and portfolio managers. And then we have professionals who are specifically specialized in business analysis. So these are the three standards as I just told you. You can see here the four things: project, PMBOK, program management, portfolio management, organizational project management. These are the four core standards, and I said that the fifth one, which is the business analysis, is also to be included. There are other standards, like we have got competence practice standards. Practice standards include a lot many things like there's a practice standard for scheduling. These are areas which needed more explanation and standardization, and therefore we we have from PMI these practice standards like on scheduling, on estimation, on earned value, on project risk management, project configuration management, work breakdown structure, and so on and so forth. Then they have got, apart from the practice standards, they have got another interesting framework which is called PMCDF, that is now in third edition, Project Management Competency Development Framework. This is for the project managers who want to enhance their competency. They want to assess themselves how good or bad they are as project managers and what needs to be improved, and as if through this they can pinpoint what areas in project management they need to develop. So this is not exactly for the business analyst, but naturally this is also one of the standards by PMI. Then PMI has another breed of standards, and they are called extensions. These extensions are for specialized industry areas where PMBOK is applied, but those industry areas specifically require that PMI provide them more specific standards about that industry only. So these are extensions, these are additions to PMBOK. It is taken for granted that those organizations are adopting and using PMBOK, but for construction industry, they have to read construction extension in addition to or in extension to PMBOK. Similarly, government extension is for government bodies. Then naturally, this was specifically developed for the government of the United States, but naturally, you can find very many similarities which could be applicable to any country in the world, because the bureaucracy works the same way almost in all the countries. So this could be a good template for our government to maybe take on um, project management and tailor it according to their own needs. Then recently we also have a software extension, and many years back, Department of Defense USA also came up with a requirement to PMI for creating extension for the Department of Defense. This extension does exist, but it is no more public. This is a restricted document, and this is no more available for public use. But naturally, that document could be very helpful for armed forces of Pakistan to tailor their project management requirements accordingly. So this is about the extensions. Then we have got, you see, many other standards coming up, like some new standards I have posted here, like implementing organizational project management, then governance of portfolio program and project management. This was new. Then agile practice guide. This is the latest, which came out with the sixth edition of PMBOK. So, they both were released together, the PMBOK sixth edition and the agile practice guide. And on the same day they were released. And you might have observed that PMBOK sixth edition has got a lot of agile dependency in it now. There's new practices are about agile now. So this is a separate guide for agile practice, and naturally this could be very useful for appearing in the exam for PMI-ACP. Then there are other issues with project management. That is, PMBOK does not talk about a complex project or a multiple project. So to deal with that, PMI released a practice standard on navigating complexity for complex projects, how to deal with them. Then the concept of change in an organization is elaborated further in managing change. I don't want to discuss it right now. Maybe we discuss it during the course of our training later, but this is also a practice standard. So you see, there's a huge plethora of practice standards, of extensions and guides, whatever they are. So they all are different kind of standards. And to top it all, PMI did create a common glossary for all these standards, as if the definition of a term remains the same across all standards, and that document, which encompasses all this glossary of all the standards, is called PMI lexicon, which you can see on the right corner in brown color. This is PMI lexicon. So there are so many standards, there are so many nice things in them that you are only trying to study business analysis right now. But if you want to study more things, there's a huge potential for you to study. So these were all the different standards, and what we are going to be focusing here in our course is business analysis and the requirement management. Naturally, we will be looking at it from the perspective of the exam and how and what is to be tested in exam, and we will be discussing those things in that order. So that is so far the basic introduction about all the standards and PMI things. So if you want to comment anything here, please, you can speak now. Your mic is on. Bushra, are you there? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, Bushra? Okay, I'm not getting any response. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you're sitting there. Please confirm by either raising your hand or at least speaking a word as if I would know that you are there. Yes, please. Okay. Can you speak? Okay, that means your mic is not working. As I said, you can go into the audio setting, right, shown on the screen, audio, and click on it and check your audio. Okay, I would very much like to hear your comments so far. So please check on that and get back to me. Actually, I was satisfied that because you were speaking earlier, and I knew that you can hear me, and I can hear you. That's why I didn't emphasize on that. Okay, fine. That gives me a signal that we can go ahead. So let us first discuss why do we need to study for PMI PBA exam. So let us first comment on that. Why PBI? The organizational benefits of this certification, naturally individual benefits are separate, but organizational benefits would be that a person with a knowledge of business analysis and a certification, holding a certification, would be recognized as a specialist in that area. And organization would know whom to turn to for the matters of business analysis. Then you may be practicing business analysis already, but then the things you know might not be enough. So the knowledge you will gain out of this course and this certification would increase your professionalism. You will also get advanced knowledge during this process, naturally new trends in business analysis and many tools which you may not have known earlier or which are new to the market, so they will also be known to you. Once you are trying to hire a business analyst, you would already know what skills should be there, and because now you understand what the profession of business analysis really mean, so it would be much better for the organization to look for that specific skill, and there won't be any risk in hiring new entrants. And then naturally, whatever the organization is doing, they will be improving their chances of success, and especially because business analysts deal with projects and project managers, so project outcomes will also be better. As far as the certification is concerned, you may have other options as well. You have chosen to go for professional in business analysis certification by PMI, good enough, but there are other certifications in the market, and we do want to introduce it to you as if you know what are those certifications and how they can be beneficial for you or not. So first of all, I must tell you that business analyst has something to do with new initiatives in the organization, new which turn out to be projects, programs, or portfolios. So whenever there is a change, a better change in your organization, you are trying to improve, continuously enhance your organization. When you try to bring that change is brought through projects, programs, or portfolios, and the person who is responsible for identifying that opportunity, materializing that opportunity, and initiating it, and then reaping the ultimate benefit of that initiative for the organization is generally the business analyst. So that would clearly show that project manager and business analyst are very closely associated, and in some cases they are one and the same. Sometimes the person nominated as a business analyst is given the responsibilities of a project manager, and sometimes project manager is considered to be performing the duties of a business analyst. So in case you're dealing with pure business analysis responsibilities or enterprise level responsibilities, probably you should be going for another certification body, that is IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, and that is highly recommended. Their certifications are CBAP and CCBA. Very similar certification, but naturally it is not entirely focused on projects, but it is more focused on the business side of it. But at the same time, I won't say that PBA certification does not look at that direction, but naturally it is not totally and wholly focused on the business side. So we just wanted to establish a link between the business analyst and project manager, and therefore whole of the discussion in PBA is all about how they work together. So for enterprise environment, enterprise business analysts and for pure business analysts, probably CBAP and CCBA might be good certifications from IIBA, but still PBA also works for enterprise level. If you are performing a hybrid role, sometimes you're a business analyst, sometimes you're a project manager, then probably you are looking for PBA, but then CBAP certification could also work up to some extent, but hardcore, it is highly recommended to go for PBA. If you are already a PMP, then probably you must be more inclined to go for PBA rather than CCBA. But many PMPs have opted for CBAP and they have done it. That is okay with us. There are many people who are already CBAP from IIBA. They are certified and they still are considering to go for PBA, and that is a good thing because then this person would understand the hybrid responsibilities. So CBAP and CCBA, both CCBA is a lower junior level of CBAP. IIBA has two certifications, CBAP and CCBA. So if you are a CCBA, a lower level business analyst, then naturally your natural growth is going for CBAP, but still you may come up to PMI PBA certification, and that could be equally beneficial for you. If you are a consultant or a trainer, then both certifications will work fine with you. So you can see and decide for yourself which certification suits you best. So my question here is, what is your background and why are you going for PBA? Is it okay with you, or you just decided to go for it? So if you can speak, you may answer. You can answer in chat if your mic is not working. You can answer in chat. Okay. So if you have no questions here, I would like to move ahead. Okay. So as we were discussing, which certification you should be going for. So let us compare three certifications, that is CBAP, PBA, and PMP. You see, CBAP was initiated not far ago. It was back in 2006 that first time IABA was formed. IABA was formed, and CBAP certification was introduced, and it has about 5,000, more than, no, probably these are old figures, maybe 6,000 or around 6,000 certified professionals who are CBAP. Interestingly, PMI PBA was introduced much later, about 8 years later, in August 2014, and still they have a larger footprint. They have got uh, much more professionals certified by PBA than CBAP. So this is a great achievement by PMI, and naturally PMI has, you know, uh, the name established, the repo established due to their PMP and other certifications. As far as the PMP certification is concerned, it was introduced in 1984, a very old certification, but they have got over 800,000 people who are certified. When you look at the selection criteria or the requirements, you would see that BA CBAP has got slightly stringent requirements. They require 7,500 hours of BA specific experience spread over 10 years, and out of that 900 hours in four of the 6 knowledge areas they require. So this is quite stringent. That is a little tough. You might you have to have a 10-year experience in business analysis, and you have to show 7,500 hours of work. As far as PMI PBA is concerned and PMP are concerned, both have got very similar requirements. You have to have 3 years experience with 4,500 hours if you have a college degree, and if you don't, only then you go for 7,500 hours if you do not have a college degree. Then the training expected requirements by CBAP for the certification, that you must have studied business analysis. This is only 21 hours, whereas PMP and PBA both certifications require 35 hours each of training. IABA has made it a little bit more difficult by asking for the references out of your 10 years experience. At least 2 references you have to give of your old bosses who would confirm that you have been working with them. As far as PBA and PMP is concerned, you don't need to provide any references. Examination, PBA CBAP exam has 3.5 hours exam, and you have 150 multiple choice questions. Both for PMP as well as the PBA certifications, you will be given 4 hours and 200 multiple choice questions. I think PBA is a bit tougher than CBAP in that aspect. The cost, again, the cost of CBAP is more, slightly more than the PBA certification. For the IABA members, they charge $450, and for non-members, they charge $575. Here, PMI charges $405 from members, both for PMP and PBA certifications, and if you are not a member, you have to pay $555. You see, the rates of PMI certifications are much lower, and if you look at it, how popular they are, then PBA, you can't compare PBA with PMP, but you can always compare PBA with CBAP. So PBA is more famous in the shorter period of time as compared to IABA's CCBA. The certification maintenance requirements are almost similar, except for the fact that IABA doesn't call it PDUs, it calls it CDUs. So these are just hours of new knowledge you acquire. So 60 hours of new knowledge you have to acquire in the 3 years of uh, renewal. After 3 years, you need to renew it. And same is true for PBA and PMP, except for the fact that they are called PDUs in that case. 60 PDUs you have to receive in 3 years to renew your certification. And the renewal fee, again, IIBA charges much more. They charge 85 members for renewal from the members, and $120 from non-members, whereas the PMI is charging $60 from member and $150 from non-members. So for non-members, PMI charges are more, whereas for members, CBAP charges are more. So these are all the 3 different certifications, and you can choose out of them which is better for you. So this is just for your convenience. I have gathered this data, and based on this information, let us focus only for the certification of PBA. PBA, as I just said, requires 4,500 of business analysis experience, and this has to be spread over 8 years, of which at least 2,000 must be spent on projects. So this is total of 7,500 hours if you do not have the degree, and 4,500 hours if you have the degree. Your training requirement, as I said, is 35 hours. Paper is 4 hours and 200 multiple choice questions. So let me read some of the questions you have. Yes, Juanju, your question was, so we need to provide the reference before exam. Is it that? Yes, of course. But this is only true for CBAP exam. For IIBA, for PMI, you do not have to provide the references, but you just have to fill the application. To become the member of PMI, you have to go to the PMI website, that is www.pmi.org, and on that site you first, like any website, you may like to register on the PMI site. That is free. You can register on the PMI site, you can create your login account, and you can move ahead with that. But once you have done that, then you apply for membership, and for membership you have to pay something on yearly basis. Basically, they charge $119 per year for your membership, and for the first timers, they would charge, I think, $10, $15, $10 or $15 for first timers, $10 for first timers. That makes it $129 for the very first time, and later you will be paying $119. In addition to that, if you want to become member of any PMI chapter, which could be located in your close vicinity, like if you are in Lahore, we have a Lahore chapter. If you have in Karachi, it is a Karachi chapter. In Islamabad, we have Islamabad. We have 3 chapters in Pakistan. So you could become a member of any one of them or all of them. But if you want to become member of a Pakistani chapter or a local chapter anywhere in the world, you have to pay for their charges to PMI when you become the member. Therefore, if you want to join Islamabad chapter, the charges are $15 per year. So in $129 you have calculated earlier, add another $15, and that would be your total payment at that stage. So that much as far as your questions are concerned. If you have got any other question so far, I am looking at the chat. You can ask those questions, and then we can move ahead. Okay, if you do not have any question, I would like to move ahead. And first of all, let me show you the various domains in which you will be tested if you go for PMI PBA exam. And these domains are, first of all, need assessment. Then we have got planning, analysis, that is requirement analysis and all that, traceability and monitoring, and ultimately evaluation. From need assessment, you would be getting about 18% questions, 22% questions from planning, and the most of the questions are from analysis, and they are 35%. Traceability and monitoring, 15% questions, and evaluation are 10% questions. Analysis, as I said, is the most important area. So requirement gathering, collection of requirement, elicitation of requirement, creating the models and all that, it is all included in analysis. So if you compare the content of PBA and PMP, which probably you don't need to, but yes, there are some similarities in PBA and PMP. The need assessment thing, which we do for 18% questions, is something like initiation of the work or the project, where you identify the stakeholders, you collect the basic information and all that. Planning, which is 22%, is almost equivalent to the planning of a project, and that would include reviewing the business cases, goals and objectives, strategies, and developing your requirement management plan. Analysis would actually be like the extension of planning in project, but in project management, we do all the analysis in planning, but here the planning has been broken down into two parts. 22% is planning itself, and 35% is analysis, which includes elicitation, modeling, and everything else. So analysis carries big marks. So if you compare it with PMP, then you would say that analysis, planning, and analysis probably collectively are 57%, which is a major chunk of your exam. Traceability and monitoring of PBA exam could be, you know, related to the monitoring and control in PMP exam. Yes, of course, here we would have certain tools, we would have, um, mm, how to correct the things which have gone wrong. We will trace the requirement. Here we are only concerned about the requirements, not the project or deliverable or anything else. So we are only in PBA, we are only concerned with the traceability of the requirements and monitoring if they are being managed properly and tracking them and putting them right. Last but not the least, 10% is for the evaluation, which is like, the last step of business analysis, which is equivalent to closing of a project. I am not at all trying to draw a parallel between business analysis and project management, but I am just showing that the exam content is like similar. The similar kind of divisions are there in PBA also as they were in PMP. But as far as the business analysis and project management is concerned, there are differences. Project management is a much shorter endeavor than business analysis itself. Business analysis is an operational activity which goes on and on for a very long time, while a project may start and finish during one business analysis cycle. So coming back to the PBA, let's talk more about PMI PBA. So if you go to PMI website uh, and you click on the certifications, you would be shown 8 different certifications which are available by PMI. Naturally, PMP is the core and first certification. Then a junior level of certification of PMP is called CAPM. Then we have got naturally the PBA. We have got risk management professional certification, scheduling professional certification, um, agile certified professional, program management professional, portfolio management professional. But naturally, you're not concerned with all of those. You are interested only in business analysis. So you would be clicking on PMI PBA. Basic information, small little information is available there on that page. But naturally, you will be allowed to download further information. And these are 2 books lying there, which you can download. One is called PMI PBA Handbook. This handbook includes all information you need to apply for PMI PBA exam, and whatever is the procedure till you sit in the exam. So PMI PBA handbook would be very useful, but I would be discussing all those things today. So PMI PBA handbook, this is one thing you need to download, and I have also placed these 2 documents in your file section, and you can always download it from here or from PMI website. Now, before I can start talking about the other booklet, first let's see how PMI credential life cycle work. PMI does come up with a certification only after a lot of research has taken place. Actually, this all is generated from market research. If there is a demand in the market for a new certification which is somehow related with project management, PMI would know. They will learn it. Naturally, they have got a lot of interaction going on with the industry, and they would know what requirements are of the market. And once they feel that there is a need, then they will hire a third party to survey and to conduct a study on the market research. So this market research will prove two things. Number one, is it feasible to start a new certification in this specific area? And number two, what are the specific requirements of the industry expected out of this certification? So this is kind of a global project professional survey, which globally they reach out to people in everywhere, in all the countries and everywhere, and they try to gather data. What are the expectations of companies and organizations about a certified business analyst or a professional business analyst? So they conduct this research after every 3 to 5 years, and they revise the need expectation. So this is kind of a TNA, training need assessment kind of a thing, where you understand the need of the market and identify the holes in the knowledge, skill, and all that which has to be built. So once this market research proves that this certification must exist, that is the point when they would, you know, hand it in this initiative to the examination specification department. Or this is a group of people, a group of volunteers who have been assigned this job for examination specification. What are the examination specifications? They come out of the market research. As I said, the industry has demanded that the business analyst we want to hire must be capable of these things. These should be the skills, these should be the tools, this is the knowledge he must be holding. So they prepare the exam specification in accordance with those expectations of the market. So the examination specification, they incorporate the results from the role delineation study. So what what is the role of the business analyst they are expecting? So in accordance with that delineation, they would actually develop a blueprint for the exam content, and then they will link it to the job role. So once the exam specification is prepared, the exam content or outline of the exam is prepared, that what are the specific areas in which the student will have to be tested. Now this exam specification, or you can call it content outline, is also available at PMI website. You can download that, and that exactly tells you these are the areas you need to prepare specifically. And that, remember, that is not you are not expected to only study these standards or books which have been written by PMI. You can read any book for that in addition to these books, and you could be asked a question from anywhere. But naturally, PMI has provided a fairly good standard which would encompass almost everything, but do not expect questions coming only from the standard. Standard is not explaining anything, it is just outlining or providing the guidelines to you. The specific question scenarios may come out of the real world. Now comes the exam development process, where the course content outline is given to the exam development people, and this is again another group of volunteers who are the subject matter experts on business analysis, and they would be doing what? They would be writing the questions according to the examination specification. It is a very balanced paper in which they will be putting in the requisite number of questions in each domain according to the percentage already decided. So once the exam is developed, then for the first time, if this is the first time this exam is being prepared, uh, it has to go through a pilot phase. So this exam will be released as a pilot exam, and that would be given to some selected chosen people. Only few people will appear in the pilot exam, and by the time you are appearing in the pilot exam, you do not know what and how you will pass or fail, because it is not yet decided whom to pass, what is the exact percentage at which somebody will pass. This is not decided, and after you have appeared in the exam, PMI looks at the result and then decides that which percentage should be allowed to pass. So they may raise the bar or they may lower the bar. This is their decision. But whatever they decide based on the pilot project. And once this pilot is done, then the credential is released, and then people can appear in the exam openly, and then whatever has been decided by PMI, that way of marking the papers would be invoked. And this cycle will repeat itself after, as I said, after every 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 years. They will keep doing the market research. They will keep changing the exam specifications. The new exam will be developed, though every time it will not be piloted, but the exam would be renewed. So they will give a cutoff date that on this date the old exam will discontinue and the new exam will come, but there will be no more pilots. Pilot will only happen when the exam is being released for the very first time. So this is about how these exam specifications are created. Okay, any questions? Your mic is on. If you can speak, or your chat is also on. I'll be looking at both. Any comments? Okay. First of all, you asked. I'm sorry if I'm reading your questions very late. You asked, do you think it is worthy? Uh, I would like to get a clarification whether what is worthy. Going for this exam or going for what? If you mean should you be going for a PB exam, I would say strongly yes. This is going to benefit you a lot. As far as the Karachi chapter is concerned, you asked for that. What is the Karachi chapter? If you can search online, you will find PMI Karachi Pakistan chapter. It is also called PMI KPC Karachi Pakistan chapter. They have got a website, and you can get in touch with those guys, and they have regular events in one of the leading hotels there. Every month they have a session. I will strongly recommend that you should become a member, join them, go to their meetings every month. You will learn a lot. Maybe you will find some very interesting people there, some people who have got better knowledge than you, and you will be able to network with them. uh, as far as the marking the exam is concerned, first of all, I said that once the new exam is initiated, how the paper will be marked, nobody knows. It is only for the very first time for the pilot project. And pilot students do not know. I have been sitting in a number of exams, and two of them were pilot. And in pilot, we are not told the result immediately. We are told the result for after almost a month or so. And during that period, PMI committees sit down and decide the level of difficulty they want to retain, and the percentage they want to declare as pass. So this is what the exam is. Then the next part of the same question is um, whether a person who is appearing for PBA today, because PBA pilot has long been done, it is no more in practice. So now it is a proper certification and it is being done. So PMI has already provided you a percentage of each area or domain for the question preparation. But if you ask me what is the pass percentage, I won't be able to tell you, because PMI keeps changing that percentage and they do not release this information. The only thing you can do is to do extremely well in your exam. Maybe you go prepared to get about 80-85% marks, and only then you can be safe and you can pass the exam. Because this is not a percentage based exam, this is a percentile based exam. And in a percentile based exam, what they do is they just pick the top contenders, and how many they want to pick, that depends upon them. Yes, of course, if you become the member of PMI and naturally also become a member of Karachi chapter, that would be very beneficial for you. As I said, this gives you an opportunity to interact and network with professionals like you. You would be able to understand things even better, even if you are a PBA. There is no negative marking. There is no negative marking, but it is not a very easy exam. Although I'm not saying it is impossible to pass, it is very much possible, and many people have already done it. But this is a bit tough. These exams are professional exams, and they are not for light heart. But there is no negative marking. Anything else? Okay, fine. So, okay. Now let us see how do you apply for this exam. And for that matter, I would say for any exam of PMI, the procedure is almost the same. For PBA exam, you have to submit your application. Now, how can the application be submitted? You can download the application from PMI website, the same place. I said click on certification, go into PMI PBA, and then you can download the handbook, and in the handbook you will find the application. There is an option that you can print it out and fill the form and post it to PMI, but that is a kind of obsolete method. Nowadays, nobody does that. Although this possibility is there, but nobody does that. Everybody likes to submit their application online. So you can apply online. There is an option on on the PMI PBA page where you can apply online. And once you press that button, there is an application form which appears in front of you. You provide your data and you keep filling that. That is a long application, many pages long. So you keep filling this data, and ultimately it gets completed. But naturally, you may not have all the data available, readily available to be filled into the question application. So what should you do? What you can do is you can, as I said, download the handbook, print out the application form, and fill it in your own time. And then once every data is available, rather you should type it in a MS Word file, and you can cut and paste the information from there into the application. That would be much simpler. Moreover, even if you are trying to fill it online, there is no problem at all. Fill as much as you can, and then press the save button at the bottom. That would save your application. Next time you come, you can start right from there. So nothing, no data is lost. Your application once started, online application once started, will remain open for next 90 days. But if you do not add anything to your application, or you do not complete your application in 90 days, PMI will close your application. Naturally, 90 days is too much time, is almost 3 months. So if you are so careless that you're not serious at all, that's why you are not filling the application, then probably PMI is right to suspend your application. But even later, if you realize that this time has passed and I have all the data filled into the application, I have just not submitted my application. So you can get email PMI and ask them kindly to uh, reopen your application. So if that is done, you can still keep working from where you left. And then once all the data has been filled, you should be able to submit your application. In my experience, this should not take more than 4 to 5 days. And if you are already prepared and you have got all the data readily available in front of you, then it will take just 20 to 30 minutes, whole of the application. But naturally, there are a lot many things they are asking, and therefore you might have to go back and look at documents and then fill the data out. Therefore, we have to give you some margin. So 90 days PMI has given you, but I am saying 5 days is more than enough to fill that application. Once you have filled the application and you have submitted it, from that time on, within 5 days, PMI will get back to you with application completeness review. What they will be doing is they will just assess that you have completed your application. All the fields are filled with right data. Right data means you have not filled in anything wrongly, meaning where it had to be date, it is date, where it had to be text, it is text. So that kind of thing. This is not the ultimate acceptance of your application, but PMI would uh, write you a letter that your application has been received. It appears to be complete, and now you can proceed with the payment. Now is the time that you submit the payment. Once you have submitted the payment, PMI now will the board will sit down and see your application in detail, and if at all they have to ask further clarifications, they can mark your application in order for audit. Now, what is the procedure? Naturally, they cannot read all the applications. So what they do is they scan through the applications, and uh, approximately 10% applications are taken out to be audited. There might not be any reason for audit, but they are taken out for to be audited. And if you are one of those people whose application has been selected for audit, you will get an email from PMI that your application has been selected for audit, and you will be sent through a PDF file all the documents you have to get filled. Print out that document, and that would ask you, that would be like a transcript. Like you, once you are applying for a international university and you have to get some you have to get some transcripts filled from your university or your employer and all that. So there will be a number of transcripts, maybe one or two transcripts for your university. Somebody has to go, you have to go there, and somebody has to verify the information you have already provided. That will be printed on the form automatically. So you will have to print it out, get it to that university or your employer, and that person will write their comments and seal that transcript and give it back to you. You are not privy to what the other person is writing. You are just a messenger. You will carry that letter to that person, and that person will, in confidence, in isolation, in privacy, will fill your evaluation, seal the envelope, seal the transcript into an envelope, and sign the envelope from outside and hand it over back to you. Now, once you have collected all the envelopes from these people, you can put them all together and send them back to PMI with any other requirements if they which they have mentioned. So all those documents you have to put together into a one packet, and that has to be sent to PMI. For this whole audit process, PMI gives you up to 90 days. If you do not submit your audit within 90 days, your application will be suspended. And how much time will it take? If you are not already prepared, then it may take a longer time. Maybe you have chosen a person, you have mentioned a person in your application as your boss, and that person is no more alive or is no more in the country. So that will take longer. So the easier way is that you provide the names and numbers and emails of only those people who are accessible. If your boss, the old boss or whomsoever you want to mention, is no more with the company or no more in the country or is no more alive, then probably you should not give that person's name. You should give the name of another person who is currently available. And this person might be one of your colleagues. It is not necessary that you are giving a name of your boss. It could be a colleague, it could be some the current administration of that company or whatever. So you have to give in your application, you have to give the names and contact information of those people who are accessible. If you have done that in your application, then probably getting the audit process completed will not take more than 5 to 7 days. Just about 3, 4, 5 days, you have to go to certain people, get the thing signed, and send the envelope. And once you have sent the envelope by courier, how much time will it take to reach Philadelphia? Probably another 3 to 5 days. So within a period of 7 days to a 10-day period, your audit application can reach PMI. And after PMI has received your audit application, they may take about 5 to 7 days more to assess your audit documents. And once they have approved that, they may or may not approve that, but mostly they do. And once they have approved that, then you will be sent a letter which would say that you have been chosen to sit in the PBA exam. You are being given 1 year from today to appear in the exam. Your approval is only for 1 year. But if you do not appear within 1 year, your approval will be suspended. But if you do appear and you do not pass, then this approval stands good for this year. You can appear 2 more times. But naturally, you have to pay for those 2 more times, but not as much as you paid for the first attempt. Why? Because your application is not being processed again. The processing has been done already for 1 year. So you will pay a lesser amount for second and third attempt. So in 1 year time, which has been given to you, you have an opportunity to appear 3 times in the exam. I do not say that you must, but I wish and pray that you will definitely be passing it in the very first attempt. But in case you have to appear again, then probably you should have some time left in the year. So do not wait for your first attempt to be at the end of the year. Let the first attempt be within the first 6 months after the approval, and then you will still have about 6 months in which you can retry. So in case, God forbid, if you do not pass in your first attempt, then book your exam for about three months later. Do not try to book your exam immediately, because you are just being emotional. You have not analyzed what you have done wrong, and therefore if you appear in a very close vicinity, you will again fail. So it's better to cool down, study more, find out your faults, and appear after 3 months. And God forbid, if still you can't make it, you still will have another chance. And by the end of the year, you could have appeared in that. Anyways, let us suppose that you have passed the exam. Congratulations. Now you are a certified professional in business analysis by PMI. Now is the matter of upkeeping this certification. The certification cycle, as I have told you before, is for 3 years. It is a 3-year cycle. Your PBA status has been given to you. Your title of PMI PBA has been given to you for 3 years. After 3 years, this cycle will expire, and you will not you will not remain PMI PBA until and unless you do some credential maintenance. So within these 3 years, you must be acquiring new knowledge in form of 60 professional development units. These 60 professional development units are 60 hours of new knowledge. So in 3 years, 60 hours are not much. That comes out to be almost 20 PDUs per year. And that means 20 hours of training per year. And 20 hours is not more than 3 days. So if you have 3 days training every year, you probably can match up 60 professional development units. So let us assume that you have been doing that, you have been acquiring the requisite professional development units during your 3-year time, and you have got all that. So you keep registering them with PMI in your account. So every time you gain some PDUs, you intimate it to PMI through their online portal, and your certification will be up, will be shown as completing these professional development units. Once your 3 years are up and your 60 professional development units have been, documented, the only thing which is remaining is you have to pay your maintenance fee, your a renewal fee, which is, as I have shown earlier, $60 after 3 years. If you are a member, if you are not a member, you pay $150. So you pay $60, and you are you are awarded the PMI PBA for another tenure of 3 years. So you will keep the PBA status, and you keep renewing it every 3 years, and this thing goes on. Now what happens if you are unable to renew it? Naturally, PMI will be reminding you before your 3 years are up that your PDUs are not complete, so you must complete it. And if you do not complete it and 3 years pass, then your PBA certification is suspended. But this suspension is temporary. This is only for 1 year. And you are still given a chance during this 1 year to complete whatever PDUs are remaining. Even if you have to complete all the 60 PDUs, it is not a very difficult job of getting a training of 9 days, 9 to 10 days, and get all the PDUs. But if you are unable to acquire those 60 PDUs in the 4th year, this additional year you have been given, then you will be stripped of the certification title from your name. You cannot write it with your name at all. Anyways, in the suspension period also, you cannot write that you are a PBA. In suspension period, temporarily your PBA status has been taken away from you, but as soon as you renew it, you complete your requirement, you submit your renewal fee, you will be uh, granted the status of PBA yet again. And as I said, if you do not do that and 4 years pass after your certification, then your credential is completely expired and it cannot be renewed at all. In that case, what you will be doing is, if at all you ever require to become a PMI PBA once again, you will have to go through the whole process of submitting a fresh application and all that. So this is the process how you submit your application and how you upkeep your certification. So again, I give you an opportunity here to ask any questions. Yes, please. I am waiting for your questions, please. Yes, please. Did you try to speak again? Your mic is not working. Okay, Bushra, one thing you can do is probably you can also call me on phone, and that way I can directly talk to you while we are doing all this. Do you have a number? It is, give me a call in this number, and if you have any questions, we can have those questions on telephone. Even you can try WhatsApp, whatever. जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। जी सर, जी जी ये एक right. So you see, we have no more questions on this. So I'll like to proceed ahead. Let us see what we have in store. Okay, let us look at the PMI eligibility requirements in detail. In detail. To be eligible for PMI PBA credential, you must meet the following educational and professional experience criteria. Okay, there are two things. Number one, you are a university graduate with 16 years of education. Then, if you can see this slide, the lower portion is for you. Bachelor's degree or higher degree or global equivalent. That means 16 years of college education. If you are not having 16 years of college education, or you are a diploma holder or whatever, then the upper portion is for you. So for a bachelor with 16 years of college education, you must have at least 3 years of business analysis experience. 3 years you have been working on as a business analyst, and you can show this experience by in 4,500 hours of BA work. You must show that you have worked at least 4,500 hours in business analysis during these 3 years. And this experience you show, this 3-year experience you show, must be attained in the last 8 years, not older than that. These 4,500 hours, I understand you might be having gaps in your experience, but that gap should not extend beyond 8 years. So this is the first definition, that is the business analysis experience you must be having. The second requirement is the general project management experience. So as PMI emphasizes on the relationship between the business analysis and project management, so it says 2000 hours working on project teams. Now this project experience is inclusive of 4,500 hours. So the 4,500 hours you have already shown as business analysis experience. 2000 hours out of them could be on projects. Rather, I would say should be on projects. Any business analysis experience that occurred within the context of a project can be included. Naturally, if you are doing business analysis and as a result of your business analysis, a project is formed and it is being done, then you are related with that project and those hours could be counted towards that project as well. So definitely those 2,000 hours can also be completed. Again, the same condition, this experience must also be not be older than last 8 years. So these are the basic two requirements of the business analysis and the project management experience. And in addition to that, you must have at least 35 contact hours of training on business analysis. So the training we are going through right now probably is going to fulfill that requirement. You will be taught for more than 35 hours here, and therefore um, this training is specific to business analysis. So this fulfills this requirement. So you have all the requirements fulfilled. You must have this experience. You must have this training and all that. This is what you need to do. Now, talking about those people who do not have a university degree of 16 years of education, for them, the requirement is to have the experience of 5 years. That comes out to be 7,500 hours of work experience as a practitioner of business analysis. Again, within the last 8 years. And next, the project experience requirement is the same. Out of those 7,500 hours, 2,000 must be you must be working on the project teams, and the training again is the same requirement, 35 contractors. The only difference here is if you are holding 16 years of university education, you need to have 4,500 hours. If you are not, 7,500 hours. This is the only difference. So this is the eligibility criteria. Okay. Um, After you understand these requirements, the next thing we must see how much do you have to pay. So here in this chart, if you can see it, probably you can. Yes, you can. Okay. So there are two types of testing by PMI. One is called computer-based testing, the other is the paper-based testing. Well, you focus and concentrate on the computer-based testing because paper-based testing is not available where computer-based testing is available. So in Pakistan, in Karachi, in Lahore, in Islamabad, for that matter in the whole of the country, you cannot appear in paper-based testing. Only in those countries where computer-based testing is not available, like Iran, like Afghanistan, like Iraq. So these countries will have to go through paper-based testing. So forget about the paper-based testing and their rates. These rates do not apply. So the only thing it applies is just as I told you earlier, uh, PBA exam for PMI members would be charged in US dollars 405, whereas for non-members it is $555. If you want to pay in euros, then the equivalent euros are also written here, but just forget about the euros. Let's talk about the dollars alone. So the first two rows, where do you place yourself? If you are a member, you pay $405. Now, what if you do not pass in the first attempt? How much do you have to pay for each subsequent uh, exam? Naturally, you do not have to pay for the processing fee of your application. Therefore, you just pay $275 next time. Same year, if you reappear in the exam for second or third opportunity, then it is just $275 for members. And if you are not a member, you pay $375. Again, PBT is out, so forget about it. Now coming over to the certification cycle renewal. Certification cycle renewal for members, as I was telling you, is $60 after every 3 years. But for non-members, it is $150 after every 3 years. Now this much is understood. How much is the fee and all that? Next question is uh, about the business analysis activities. The experience you show to PMI must not be overlapping, because if your two experiences you have shown are overlapping, PMI will not consider the overlap period, or you can say the overlap period will only be considered towards one activity and not towards other. Like you see, you have experience of 1st of January to June on one task, and from March to December on the other task. So the first task will be considered as January to June, and the other task will be considered after the overlap period. That is from July to December. Therefore, try not to show the overlaps, and if at all you are showing the overlaps, be mindful of the fact that the overlapping period will be counted only once. You can have gaps between two experiences, as it is shown between the activity 2 and 3. But overall, the total gap between all the experiences you are showing to PMI should not be more than 8 years. Within 8 years, you are going to have 4,500 hours of experience. In other words, it can be said that your 4,500 hours could be spread over 8 years, a maximum. But if you are not, you are showing it just in last 3 years, even that is okay. So it will be spread between 3 to 8 years, not more than that. I will suggest that do not show any experience more than what is required. They want 4,500 hours, you show 4,500 hours or a little more, maybe 4,750 hours, maybe 5,000, but there is no fun in showing 10,000 hours, because then you have to justify all the 10,000. And if there is a problem in any one of those 10,000 hours, your application will have problems. So do not be over efficient, only show as much as is required. If they want 4,500 hours, show 45 or even a little bit more, and that's it. And be mindful of the fact the overlaps will not count toward both. They will count only towards one project. Okay, any okay question, please? You can ask the question. If you want, you can call. Ji, Ram. Right. The next is some information about the PBA exam. Actually, this exam is just like very similar to the format of this exam is very similar to PMP exam. 4 hours will be given to you to solve this question paper, and it will have 200 questions. That's what the information you have. 200 questions in 4 hours. Now, out of these 200 questions, PMI keeps adding new questions to the pool. There are hundreds and thousands of questions, out of which you will be offered only 200 questions. But PMI is adding questions to the pool, and the questions you will receive will have 25 new questions. These may be called unscored questions or pre-test questions or whatever you want to call it, but these 25 questions will not be marked. They are just there to see the response of students, how well they respond to newly introduced questions. And you will not know which are these 25 questions because they will be mixed in the 200. It is not like that you will be offered first 25 questions and then remaining questions. No, not at all. Those 25 questions are mixed into the 200 questions. Only 175 out of them will be marked, 225 will not be marked, but you don't know. That is the key. So as far as you are concerned, you are not the judge to say that this is a unscored question. So every question you solve is for you is a scored question, and therefore you must score well in every question. Therefore, forget about that there are 25 unscored questions. It is just an information I have provided you. You have to do well. If you focus at acquiring 85% marks, that means you must get how many 170 questions right. So if you do that, probably nobody can fail you. I don't know what will be the pass percentile in your case because that keeps changing on daily basis and nobody knows it. You will in the result you will just be told that you have been proficient in the exam, highly proficient or whatever, or below proficient. So generally below proficient is failed. So if at all you fail, you can appear again, but your report will not show any percentages, anything, but they will just show how well you have performed. Okay, coming back to the 5 domains, as I already said, domain 1 is need assessment, and now the additional information in this is that in need assessment, there are 5 specific tasks of need assessment you need to do. You need to learn, and there are total of 18% marks for need assessment, and if at all I divide these 18% marks equally in 5 tasks, how much how much percent is dedicated to each task? 3 to 4 questions, 3 to 4% from each task. 3 to 4% is big. So pay attention to all the 5 tasks. Then planning, we have 6 tasks, and planning as a whole carries 22% marks. Now just divide 22 by 6, again 3 to 4 questions per task. So whatever these tasks are, let's focus on them. Prepare each and everything. Do not leave anything to chance. There is nothing, optional. In analysis, we have got 8 tasks, and the total weightage of analysis is 35%. So Again, about 4 questions, 4 to 5 questions from analysis. I mean, each task of analysis will be uh, each task of analysis will carry the weightage of 4 to 5%. Traceability and monitoring, 5 tasks. So this comes out to be every task of traceability and monitoring would be about 3%, would be carrying 3% of the total marks. Evaluation, you have 4 tasks, so they they will have about 1 to 2%, 2 to 3%. So this is how your whole of your marks will be made up of. Okay, let's talk about the examination content. Earlier, I have shown you a book, a handbook. PMI PBA handbook looks exactly like this, but that actually contained the information which I have just discussed with you, how to apply for PMI PBA certification exam. Now, this other booklet, you can read the heading here. This is called Examination Content Outline. So the domains I have just shown you and the tasks, the number of tasks I have shown against each domain, they are being explained here. They are given in detail as if you can prepare accordingly. So when you are preparing for business analysis, I would strongly recommend that you keep these points right in front of you. You must know that these are the tasks and you are preparing for them. This is your syllabus. So as I said, these were the 5 domains: need assessment, planning, analysis, traceability and monitoring, and evaluation. This was the distribution, already discussed. Now coming over to need assessment. I said there are 5 tasks in need assessment. These are the 5 tasks. So let us go through them in detail. First task, let me read it out to you. Define or review a business problem or opportunity using problem and opportunity analysis techniques in order to develop a solution, scope statement, and or to provide input to create a business case. So what do you understand out of it? What we are talking about is that there have to be a business problem or an opportunity, or for that matter I would rather say that any problem in the business, you as a business analyst must know and recognize that, must be able to identify that and define that and turn it into an opportunity. Or maybe if it is already an opportunity, in both cases, you are trying to do something which will be beneficial for your organization. So, first of all, you should be able to recognize this situation. And how would you do that? Naturally, for problem and opportunity analysis, there are a number of techniques which will be discussed in this course. And using those techniques, you would be able to define the scope statement of the whole of your solution, how you suppose whole of this thing is going to be done. And this is going to be a major input into your business case. You will be presenting this business case in front of management, and if they are convinced, they will allow you to go ahead with it. And then is the time when the project will be won. So you see, the job of business analyst has started much before the project was ever existing. It was not even initiated when the business analyst was working on the idea. So this is one task. So you lot many things here. Business problem and opportunity, you must be able to differentiate, define, review. Then problem, opportunity, and problem and opportunity analysis techniques you must know all. Then you must be able to develop the solution scope statement, and you must know how to create a business case. So there are 3-4 things here. So if at all, how many questions did we say? So about 3 to 4 questions. So for 3 to 4 questions from task 1, I have already identified you for 4 major items in task 1. So this could be your 4 questions. Task 2, collect and analyze information from a variety of sources using valuation tools and techniques to contribute to determining the value proposition of the initiative. So the sole purpose of this task is to do the value proposition thing. And how do you do that? To do that, you have to collect and analyze information. That is the first part of this task. Collect and analyze information. And from where do you do that? You do it from variety of sources using what? Valuation tools and techniques. So the second part of this task is, the important part is, what are the valuation tools and techniques? You must understand them all. And what are you trying to create? You are trying to create a value proposition. So from the definition of this task 2, I can clearly underline 3 different items, and they are contenders for my questions. Number 1, collect and analyze information. Number 2, valuation tools and techniques. And number 3, value proposition. You see how even if I am not teaching you, you should be able to read each sentence, each task very carefully and keep underlining the most important items in there. And then prepare according to that. Make a checklist. And when you're studying, you keep ticking off whatever you have understood. And whatever remains to be understood, you make a question mark in front of it. And until and unless you have understood everything, do not try to attempt the exam. Third task, in need assessment, collaborate in the development of project goals and objectives by providing clarification of business needs and solution scope in order to align the product with the organizational goals and objectives. Now, again, this task I can very clearly break it down into at least 3 parts. First of all, collaborate in the development of project goals and objectives. So, all the projects you are trying to conceive, develop goals and objectives for each project. That is one thing. Are you able to do that? Do you know how to do that? How to create the goals and objectives of the project? Number 1. Then, by providing clarification of business needs and solution scope. So you must be able to, you have already created in task 1 the business need and the solution scope statement. So you must know the skills how to convert business need and the solution scope into project goals and objectives. So this portion is specifically focused on business need and solution scope, how to translate it into what? Into the project goals and objectives. And why are we doing that? To align the product with the organization's goals and objectives. Now we are trying to link it to the organization's goals and objectives. So whatever we are doing through this project must fulfill some goals and objectives of the organization, and I must know which are those goals and objectives of the organization which will be fulfilled by doing this. So you must have knowledge of 3 things: how to develop the project goals and objectives, how to convert the business needs and solution scope, and how to align the product with the organizational goals and objectives. You see, this is how you have to go about it. Task 4, identify stakeholders by reviewing goals, objectives, and requirements in order that the appropriate parties are represented, informed, and involved. So, if I want to break this task into smaller questions, I have to make 3 to 4 questions out of it. Number one is how to identify the stakeholders. Number one is how to identify the stakeholders. And then it says by reviewing goals, objectives, and requirements. We have already talked about goals and objectives and all that, and the requirements. What are the requirements of the stakeholders? So once I identify the stakeholder, I have already the goals and objectives of the organization in my mind and of the project in my mind, but the needs and expectations of the stakeholders I don't know. So once I identify them, I will have the requirements coming out of them and then putting it all together, reviewing the goals, objectives, and the requirements. This is the second part of it. How to review the goals, objectives, and requirements. First, identify stakeholders. Second, review the goals, objectives, and requirements. And in order to, what is the third part? How to keep the appropriate parties represented, informed, and involved. Meaning what? These stakeholders I have identified, how to keep them, you know, on board throughout the process. All the time, they should feel at home. They should not feel ignored. They should be kept informed. They should be represented everywhere. They should be kept involved. So you see, this is all about the stakeholder. Task 4 is all about the stakeholder. And again, I very easily could get 3 things out of it. So my 3 questions are here. Task 5. Determine stakeholders' values regarding the product using elicitation techniques in order to provide a baseline for prioritizing requirements. Though I am just doing the need assessment, although I understand that elicitation would come later, but I am initiating it. The very basic or high level elicitation will be done here. I am not collecting all the detailed requirements, but I am just considering how to collect those requirements. So here, determine stakeholder values. I have already identified the stakeholder. Determine stakeholder values regarding the product. What do the stakeholder expect out of the product? I have to use certain elicitation techniques, how to extract data out of the stakeholder. The data are the requirement the stakeholder himself cannot explain. How will I scratch it out of him? This is called elicitation. So there are elicitation techniques you need to know. Why? In order to provide a baseline for providing requirements. If I can lay out how to elicit information, then probably I can develop a baseline for requirement prioritization. So here again we have three things: stakeholder value, number one; number two, elicitation techniques; and number three, requirement prioritization. So these 3 things I must know about task 5. I hope need assessment has been thoroughly made threadbare. And in need assessment, we if you can just point out list down all these points I have just given, then probably these are the things you need to prepare. Then we have got planning. We have got a number of processes here, tasks here. Each task can be, similarly made threadbare. But as far as so far whatever we have done, just tell me if you're okay with it. So I am waiting for you to respond. Maybe in chat you can respond. जी please. जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम.